In 1963, Martin Luther King made the famous speech called "I Have a Dream," showing what it was the civil rights movement and the issues that established the society of that time. Even now, the rights that have Negro or Afro people to have justice and liberty in the same way the rest of society have, it's difficult to accomplish. We have seen in our actual constitution that the rights of liberty and justice are given to all people without discrepancy of race, color, gender, social status, and other things. It was also in our constitution that was abolished slavery and developed things to guarantee that all of these things could be achieved. What we're trying to show is that the civil rights movement that started with Mr. King are even nowadays in develop because we have a constitution that supports this kind of ideology and defends all the society without any discrimination, but we still need a change of perspective on some people that does not support the rights of liberty and justice because they think some people is not equal as all of us.
Nowadays, we can see a lot of videos on internet about this horrible discrimination and even appreciated in simple public places like banks, schools, parks. For example, I saw a case where there was a little black child going upstairs to leap on a cliff, but four white children obstacled his path, telling him that he was awful because he was black color, and that he cannot play with them or be in there, and also they start hitting him. The parents of these children didn't do anything, so the mom of the black child take him to another place where he can play, but this act was in vain because they followed him until the mom and his child had to go off the park to be in peace. King said in his speech, "I have a dream," that one of his million dreams was that his four children live in a country where instead of being judged because of the color of their skin, were judged for their personality characteristics. This dream has not been totally realized. Yes, there is a huge difference between 1963 and now about racial judgment and liberty of black people, but it hasn't been exterminated.
Martin Luther King, in the middle of his fight for the equality of rights in 20th century, was arrested together with other activists of the civil rights for hitting a boycott to a company of transport in Alabama, which was demanding that the Afro-American person were yielding his seats to the white persons and were remaining on foot or sat in the later part of the bus. This one was only one of the first examples of the change that want to be given in the society of the epoch. After this fact, King and the defenders of the civil rights of the Afro-Americans, they realized one of the biggest Pacific March, where 250,000 persons took part approximately in Washington, D.C., and it is there where it does his greatest speech. I have a dream that one day this nation will get up and live through the real meaning of his creed. We support truths that are evident, that all the men are created equalized. After this fact without precedent, the Congress promulgated the Law of Civil Rights in 1964. The same year, it wished it was honored by the Nobel Prize of Peace.
King's work traveled the world became a symbol of a peaceful struggle for a peace and equality. The March of Washington became a milestone in American history, as it was a key moment that led to the Civil Rights Act of 1964. The legislation prohibited discrimination and voter registration and the racial division that governed the public place. That same year, Martin Luther King received the Nobel Peace Prize. Despite how powerful was the speech of the king at the time, and all the achievement of a movement for civil law, his dream has not yet been fulfilled. The history of a United States and of the entire world continues to be marked by a profound racial division. The most famous speech by Martin Luther King, which is more than half a century old, is still urgent as long as it was the day and was pronounced for the first time.
For the black people who are in the unit
States, this struggle made a great job to put aside injustice towards them evidenced at the time on for their dignity to be respected. Significant advances have been seen. However, results are lacking definitive that favor them. That is, there must be a unit among all the demands that the civil rights that have been violated be guaranteed, which in itself belongs to these valuable and important human beings as the other are. It is a purpose that we must find for a democracy, freedom and equality so that this abuse does not continue to evolve to such a point that it is much more difficult to stop in and become, as Martin Luther King says, to be free at last, and to be able to fulfill the dreams that he looked for.